Go to the NFC, where Philadelphia easily the best roster in the division. Nick Sirianni, did he hire better assistants? They started last year 10-1, then they fell off a cliff. I think they rebound. Maybe not a Super Bowl team, but very good. I'm going to go with Washington, new coach, new OC, new quarterback, new owner. I think they use that energy and juice to catapult. I think they're the surprise team in the NFL, Washington, second. Dallas is a very viable third, but I think they're top-heavy and overly dependent on Dak and CeeDee Lamb to carry the entire offense. Giants, just not good enough at quarterback. I pick them fourth. Let's go to the NFC North. Detroit, number one offensive line in football. If you have the best offensive line in football, it's like having the best starting pitching staff in baseball. It gives you so many advantages over everybody else. I love their front office. You know I love Goff. Not great defensively. They've tried to shore it up. I have Green Bay second. Best young offensive talent to me in the sport. They're not paying anybody until Jordan Love here in about a week. I take them for second. By the way, they closed the season out winning 6 of 8 games and hammered the Cowboys in the playoffs. Chicago's a viable third. Can't wait to watch them play, but it's a defensive coach on the hot seat and a rookie quarterback. O-line's good, not great. They're third. I think Minnesota's going to be the best fourth-place team in the NFL. I love their offense, and I'm rooting for Sam Darnold, but the division's too good. I think by the end of the year, we'll say this is the best division in football. I'll pick the Vikings as a really fun, dynamic number 4. Let's go to the NFC West. Yes, I like the Rams. I thought they had a back-to-back sensational drafts. Finished top 10 in total offense and scoring last year. I really like what they've done with their defensive front in the last 2 drafts. Niners are good, but they're an old, expensive football team. Watch out for injuries and the Brandon Ayuk noise. Seattle, hey, they finished 9-8. Geno Smith's good enough to win you games. They have a new staff, a new coach. I'm going to take Shanahan and McVay over the rookie coach. They're third. I love Kyler Murray, but I just don't think Arizona roster right now can compete with the rosters above them. Finally, the worst division in football. I do think Atlanta, getting Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, will stabilize the quarterback position. Second best offensive line in football. It's hard not to be a playoff team when you have that good of an offensive line. Bucs have made the playoffs 4 straight years. Baker is more than capable. Carolina Saints, not very good. I don't like New Orleans' situation right now, coaching at all. NFC playoff teams, Eagles, Falcons, Lions, Rams, Niners, Commanders, Packers are wild card teams, but only 2 new playoff teams. So the problem I have, only 3 new playoff teams in the AFC, only 2 new playoff teams in the NFC. I'm at 5. The average is 7. Hi.
Okay, so let's take a look at this more. All right, so we got the Eagles, the Falcons, the Lions, and the Rams as the division winners, and then that leaves the wild card for the 49ers, Commanders, and the Packers. A quick note: if you didn't realize, I posted the AFC video separately. So if you're like, why aren't you talking about the AFC? I'm posting both these videos at the exact same time. So I'm just focusing on the NFC. If you haven't seen the AFC video, go check that out. It's already posted, and we unpacked that all there. So we're just going to focus on the NFC here. I believe that the Eagles are going to win the division. I think they have one of the best rosters in the NFL, without a doubt. I've been very consistent about the Falcons. I think they're going to win. I don't think that people are thinking that the Bucs are going to win that, or maybe even the Saints. The Saints are an interesting one. I think the Saints are going to be better than the Buccaneers, but I just have more faith in the Falcons. And then the other wild card teams, I just think they're going to be better than the Saints. So I don't think that the Saints will be able to find their way into the playoffs. The Lions and the Packers, man, I said this in a previous video, specifically talking about the Lions and the Packers, about who will win that division. And I think what it will come down to is the Lions do have a better roster. They just do. But the Packers, if Jordan Love proves to legitimately be like a top 3, top 5 quarterback, and literally, truly proves to be that next big thing, that next big quarterback that everyone just loses their mind over, then I think that the Packers, that could be the difference maker, because I do think it's neck and neck between the Packers and the Lions. But even if But if Jordan Love, and regardless, even whether he's that top 3 or top 5 quarterback, I think that Jordan Love is indeed a top quarterback in the NFL. But like, is he that next level transcendent quarterback? Right? I don't want to say Mahomes because it's just like Mahomes is now already entering into the GOAT conversation. But Mahomes-esque, just that quarterback where you're just like, at any moment he can get it done, right? And that is a Joe Burrow. That was obviously Brady, Manning. Like it's hard. Every time we compare someone to Mahomes, we have to assume that automatically means that you're going to win 3 Super Bowls, 4 or 5 Super Bowls, being the GOAT. Like it just means like, do you have the ability to be transcendent on the football field, and are you consistent enough? Do you consistently make the right decision more often than not? And if Jordan Love proves to be that quarterback, then that could be the difference maker, because I don't know if Goff is that quarterback. I think Goff is a great quarterback and a top level quarterback as well, but he's not transcendent. He does his job and does it great, but he's definitely, he's a notch below that level of transcendence of, say, a Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or a Patrick Mahomes. So if Jordan Love does prove to be in that category, then that could be the difference maker, because I do think it'll be neck and neck. But I'm more than excited to watch the Packers and the Lions. Now it comes down to the 49ers and Commanders. Like, this is so interesting, or the Rams as well. People were really low on the Rams, especially with the retirement, and it's just kind of like Stafford getting older, Cooper Kupp getting older, and it's just like, and it seems like Sean McVay has lost some of his, I don't want to say popularity, but that genius luster, right? His stock was undeniably at peak right before he won the Super Bowl, and then when he won the Super Bowl, and then I guess technically the year after, right? Like, that's when it was peak. He is a genius. He is taking over the NFL. Oh my God, who is this young hot shot, coach, right? Like, it was just, people kind of lost their mind what he was able to do. And because of the way how the roster was set up and some injuries, they weren't able to follow that up with immediate success. Even last season, they obviously got to the playoffs, won a game, and were there, but it just seems to have lost that luster, because now you have someone like Shanahan, who, although didn't win a Super Bowl, has been to multiple Super Bowls, multiple NFC Championship games, all in a very concentrated window, right? And they only lost to the Chiefs, which seems like people kind of give that, like, to some degree, a benefit of the doubt. So it depends on who you ask. It just seems like people are kind of go up and back and forth between who they think is a better coach, Shanahan or McVay. And I know Colin, for a fact, definitely thinks McVay is a better coach. So he's very high on McVay. I think he thinks McVay may only be like second to Andy Reid. I may be getting that wrong. But he just, he's very high on McVay, and rightfully so. So it's just kind of interesting to me, that he now has the Rams, even though that roster should it be inferior to the 49ers. But we know he doesn't like Brock Purdy. We know he loves Stafford. So that back and forth is interesting. I do think the 49ers have high injury risk potential, just because they are getting older, and we know a bunch of their weapons have already been banged up. And last season, they were exceptionally healthy, which obviously really helped them. So, you just don't know. You never want to assume that injuries are going to happen, but it's definitely quite possible. So I don't know what you do with that. If you're banking on the 49ers getting injured and getting banged up, and that's why they're not going to win the division, that's a harder bet to make for me. But I could see the Rams winning it, but I think only if, like, Christian McCaffrey legitimately goes down for like 5 games, 6 games. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to take a step back. I don't think Debo, or Debo getting banged up or injured. But you have the Ayuk issues, so they definitely have a messier offseason, without a doubt. And then this brings me to the Commanders, who I've been very high on. I think it's going to come down for the Commanders and the Bears for that 7th wild card spot. I really do. I think it'll go back and forth and back and forth. And I think it's going to depend to a degree. Can the Commanders pull off some wins against the Cowboys? We know they'll beat the Giants. Do they steal a win from the Eagles? Right? They've always played the Eagles competitively. They almost could have beaten the Eagles twice last season. We know last season was an exceptionally weird season for the Eagles. But can the Commanders do that? Because we know the Bears have it very hard with the Packers and the Lions. That's indisputable. So, and again, maybe the Eagles are not as good as people think. So then the Commanders can maybe win a game or 2 for that matter. And I think that'll come down to it because the Bears definitely do have a very difficult schedule in the second half of the season. And I think the Bears do have blow up potential because of all the expectations, the coach on the hot seat. And it could. It's a very difficult second half of the schedule that they could just rip off loss after loss after loss, where if they don't get off to a good start and collect those wins early, it could be for the Commanders taking. The Commanders should have an easier schedule and an easier division. The Cowboys could potentially take a major step back, not make the playoffs. And if that's the case, then the Commanders could, pick up those pieces. So I think it'll probably come down to the final 2 weeks of the season to see if it's the Commanders or the Bears. And I think that'll be really fun because it's, Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams, those quarterbacks going, 1 and 2, who's the better quarterback. There's already predictions that Jaden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams. If you didn't see that, I actually did a video about talking about that as well. Booger came out and said that he thinks that Jaden Daniels can be the CJ Stroud of the draft, and maybe Caleb Williams ends up being Bryce Young. Definitely an interesting opinion nonetheless, whether you agree or disagree. But yeah, no, I think when you kind of pull back and look at all of these teams, I just really my biggest takeaway is that there's just not a single team here right now that is head and shoulders above the pack. I just don't look at any of these teams and say, who the heck is going to beat the Chiefs? Who the heck is going to beat the 49ers? The Eagles have no chance. The Ravens, oh, yeah, right. They're not going to be able to beat the Bills. Oh, the Texans, oh, they're not good enough. There's no way if they face the 49ers, they can't win the Super Bowl. It's just like, I have no idea. And it's so exciting, honestly. It's so, as soon as the last season ended and I saw how everything was kind of being constructed this season, my biggest thing I just kind of keep saying to myself is I don't know. And that makes it so wildly exciting. I just don't think anyone with any degree of confidence can say that they have any idea if there is a playoff game between the Bills and the Ravens, who wins that game. The Chiefs and the Texans, who wins that game. The Eagles and the 49ers, who wins that game. The Rams and the Lions, who wins that game. I have no idea. Truly, I have zero idea, and I'm not afraid to admit that. The Packers versus the Eagles, no idea. A Super Bowl between the Packers and the Texans, no idea. And that's awesome. It makes me so excited to genuinely not know. Football can get kind of boring when you're confident, right? Go watch an Eagles versus Giants game. It's not really that exciting. Go watch the Chiefs versus the Raiders outside of the one game, and you're just like, this is not that exciting. You know what you're getting yourself into in those games. And finally, it seems like right now we have some insane competition, and I truly can't wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the NFC playoff prediction, or I guess at this point, the AFC as well? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.